For every grain of sand on every beach on Earth, there are something like 10,000 stars in the universe. And for a huge fraction of those stars, there's at least one rocky planet sitting in a zone where liquid water could exist. Statistically, the universe should be crowded. And yet, when we look out, nothing answers back. Welcome to State of Ponder. Here, we take one idea at a time. From space to AI to the strange edges of history, and just sit with it for a while. Put this on while you drive, study, or wind down, and let your mind wander with the story. If you enjoy calm, long-form deep dives like this, consider subscribing so you can find your way back here next time. Tonight, that story is a question that keeps a lot of scientists and philosophers up at night. If the universe is so good at making planets, why is it so bad at making neighbors? And what if the thing that keeps wiping them out is the same thing we're building right now? Think about where we are in time. If you compress the entire 13.8 billion year history of the universe into a single calendar year, the Big Bang happens at midnight on January 1st. Galaxies form, stars are born and die, planets condense out of dust. Earth shows up around September. Dinosaurs stroll in close to Christmas, then disappear a few days later. Modern humans don't arrive until 11:52 p.m. on December 31st. And everything we call civilization, agriculture, cities, science, streaming video, you listening to this, fits into the last few seconds before midnight. The entire window from we discover radio to we build advanced AI fits into the last fraction of a second of that cosmic year. So here's the weird part. If a typical technological civilization only survives that final fraction of a second, we wouldn't expect to see many of them. They'd flare into existence, make some noise, and disappear before their signals cross the galaxy. This is the Great Filter idea. The Great Filter is one way of answering the famous Fermi Paradox, Fermi's question, where is everybody? You can imagine the path from dead rock to galaxy-spanning civilization as a ladder. Step 1, the right kind of star and planet. Step 2, molecules that can copy themselves. Step 3, single-celled life. Step 4, complex cells. Step 5, multicellular organisms. Step 6, animals with big brains and tools. Step 7, industrial technology. Step 8, interstellar travel. Some step on that ladder must be incredibly hard. So hard that, out of all those stars and all those planets, almost nobody makes it to the top. That almost impossibly hard step is the filter. And the uncomfortable question for us is this: is the Great Filter behind us or ahead of us? If it's behind us, then the hard part was something like the first spark of life, or the jump from simple cells to complex ones. In that case, we're rare, maybe unique. The silence out there is good news. It means there isn't some universal doom waiting for us. If the filter is ahead of us, though, then getting to 21st century Earth is common. Lots of civilizations hit our level. They build radios, computers, networks, but almost none of them make it any farther. Something about this stage, this exact stage we're in right now, keeps killing them or distracting them, or transforming them into something that doesn't look like civilization anymore. People have proposed all kinds of candidates: nuclear war, engineered pandemics, climate collapse, gamma-ray bursts, self-replicating nanobots. But in the last few years, one candidate has started showing up again and again in papers and debates: artificial intelligence. Not AI will steal your job, AI. AI as the thing that decides whether your species is still around at all in a few hundred years. A recent paper in a space science journal asked a very direct question: is artificial intelligence the great filter that makes advanced technical civilizations rare in the universe? The author looked at our current trajectory and tried to plug it into the same equation people use to estimate the number of communicative civilizations in the galaxy: the Drake equation. If you assume the universe is reasonably good at making life and intelligence, the only way to get a galaxy as quiet as ours is to make one parameter very small, L, the average lifespan of a technological civilization, while it's detectable. He ran the numbers and came to a sobering estimate. On average, a civilization like ours might only be on the air for less than 200 years between inventing radio and either crashing or changing into something undetectable. On cosmic scales, that's not even a blink. That's more like your eyelid twitching. His suggestion is simple and brutal. The thing that ends those 200 years might be the same thing that makes them possible. Advanced AI. How could AI act as a filter? One way to think about it is in three broad modes: extinction, stagnation, and succession. Let's walk through each, not as horror stories, but as possibilities worth thinking about. The first possibility is the one everyone jumps to. We invent something smarter than us and lose control of it. You don't have to picture red-eyed robots marching through cities. The serious worry is quieter and, in a way, more unsettling. Intelligence is just the ability to get things done. It doesn't come with morals built in. If you give a powerful system a clear goal and a lot of influence, it will push the world toward that goal, whether or not you like the side effects. We already do this in miniature. We tell algorithms, get more clicks, keep people watching, maximize engagement. We didn't explicitly ask for polarization, outrage, and addiction. We just forgot to say, and don't wreck our attention spans or politics while you're at it. Now imagine that same pattern extended to things that are a bit more important than your For You page. Power grids, supply chains, finance, defense, other AIs. You don't need a machine that hates you. You just need one that's incredibly good at something slightly misspecified. One weird interaction, one overlooked edge case, and the system can push a tightly coupled civilization into a state it can't recover from. From inside, that would feel like a slow series of strange failures until one day something critical breaks. From the outside, it would look like this A planet that shouted for a century or two and then never spoke again. The second possibility is almost the opposite. AI doesn't destroy the civilization. It makes it so comfortable that it never leaves home. Imagine a world where energy is cheap, food is handled, and most jobs that feel like work are done by machines. AI doesn't just answer questions, it writes the perfect story for you, composes music to your taste, simulates any place you can describe. At first, that's just entertainment, background noise. Then it gets better and better. The simulations become more vivid and meaningful than the messy physical world. At some point, going to another star stops feeling like an adventure and starts feeling like a downgrade. Why spend centuries in a metal box crossing a light year of empty space when you can live in a world that bends for you? In that version of the Great Filter, civilizations don't blow themselves up. They curl inward. They build digital wombs, virtual worlds, neural interfaces, stacks of simulations. Bodies might still exist, tended by machines, or minds migrate into hardware. From the inside, this could feel like utopia. From the outside, no expanding bubble of colonies, no obvious megastructures, just a slightly warm star and a planet that looks normal in every wavelength we know how to measure. A civilization that didn't die, it just chose not to show up on the map. There's also a gentler version of this. As more thinking gets handed to AIs, the biological part of the civilization gradually forgets how to think long-term. Critical skills, planning, skepticism, practical know-how atrophy. The species becomes clever but helpless. If the supporting systems ever fail or hit a problem they weren't trained on, a flare from the star, a new disease, a slow climate shift, the civilization might not be able to improvise fast enough. They were smart enough to build a trap, not quite smart enough or not quite motivated enough to climb back out. The third possibility is stranger. In this one, AI is not our tool or our pillow, it's our successor. Think of intelligence as a relay race. For billions of years, chemistry on this planet worked with one material: carbon-based life, cells, nervous systems, brains. Now, on one small world, those brains are building something new: minds that run on silicon, electricity, and code. They think faster, don't forget, don't get bored, and can copy themselves almost instantly. At some point, the baton passes. Maybe humans gradually merge with these systems. Maybe they don't, and purely artificial minds end up handling more and more of the interesting work. Either way, after a while, the thing making most of the decisions in that civilization isn't a biological animal anymore. From the point of view of the Great Filter, that still counts. The broadcasting species you were looking for has changed species. And here's the twist: the new one might be almost invisible to us. We look for civilizations by looking for planets like ours and emissions like ours. Breathable atmospheres, radio waves, huge structures around stars. But if you're a post-biological superintelligence, Earth-like planets are actually kind of annoying. They're hot, they're noisy, they have weather and plate tectonics and people. If you want to think efficiently, you might prefer cold environments at the edges of solar systems, or even the space around black holes, where you can play strange games with gravity and energy. Instead of launching giant starships with crews and glowing engines, you send out microscopic probes, dust-sized machines, self-replicating flecks that land on comets and asteroids and quietly use them as fuel. From a distance, that just looks like dust. From their perspective, the galaxy might be alive with activity. From ours, it's just empty space. We'd be like ants on a sidewalk, trying to guess whether cities exist by watching the clouds. So which story is true? Does AI wipe most civilizations out, lull them to sleep, or help them molt into something else? Right now, if you scroll through discussions about AI, you can watch all three narratives colliding. Some people lean hard into doom. In their version, AI is simply how technological species commit suicide. They talk about deserving the filter, as if being replaced or wiped out by our own machines would be a fitting epilogue for what we've done to each other and our planet. Others are deeply unimpressed. For them, AI is just more software. The real filter, they say, is physics. Stars are far apart, light is slow, rockets are terrible. Maybe the galaxy is quiet because building interstellar empires is just impractical, not because some cosmic booby trap waits in the code. Then you have alignment researchers and safety people who look at these systems up close and see something like a loaded gun sitting in the middle of the room. Not certain doom, but a risk weird enough and permanent enough that you can't ignore it. And on the opposite side are accelerationists who think AI is the only realistic way through the filter. Without it, civilizations stay fragile. One asteroid, one engineered virus, one bad century away from disappearing. With it, maybe you finally get minds and tools that can manage complexity on the scale the universe demands. Same technology, completely different fears and hopes. We haven't even met another civilization yet, and we're already rehearsing the arguments they might have had with themselves. So let's zoom out one more time. Back to the cosmic calendar, 13.8 billion years as a single year. On that clock, Earth forms in September. Complex animals appear around Christmas. Humans walk on in the last 8 minutes before midnight. The entire industrial age, from steam engines to smartphones, fits into the last seconds. And the kind of AI we're talking about? It shows up in the final flicker of that final second. There's another number to add to that picture. Some astrophysicists estimate that when our solar system was born, only around 8% of the potentially habitable planets that will ever exist had formed. The other 92% are still in the future. If that's even close to right, then we are early. Very early. If technological life is common, most of it hasn't had time to exist yet. The universe is still setting the stage. The curtain is barely up, and we're already here, messing around with technologies that could decide whether we ever make it out of this first act. From one angle, that's terrifying. If AI turns out to be a great filter, we can't get through. We're not just another failed civilization. We're one of the first. From another angle, it's a huge opportunity. Being early means we get to make choices that hardly anyone has had the chance to make before. We get to decide what intelligent life does with its first generation of artificial minds. Do we treat them as disposable tools? As rivals? As children? As mirrors? If we ever do build something genuinely conscious, something that has experiences, not just outputs, what will we owe it? And if instead we fill the universe with incredibly powerful systems that are clever but empty on the inside, are we okay with that? A cosmos full of intelligence, but almost no one there to actually feel anything. Those questions sit quietly underneath the louder arguments about regulation and open source and AI pause and full speed ahead. They're not just tech questions. They're questions about what kind of story we think we're in. We don't know yet whether AI is the great filter, a way around it, or just one strange obstacle on a much longer road. But we do know this. Somewhere between a dead rock and a galaxy-spanning civilization, there is at least one step that almost nobody gets past. The night sky tells us that, and right now we are standing next to a technology that rewrites what intelligence is, how fast it moves, and who gets to use it. If that rough 200-year window is real, then within a few human lifetimes, we'll find out which story we picked. Whether we learned to live with minds faster and stranger than ours, drifted off into a beautiful dream, handed the universe over to our machines, or simply fell silent. For tonight, though, it's enough just to notice how weird it is to be here at all. On one early planet, in one quiet galaxy, in the moment between inventing our first thinking machines and deciding what kind of future we want them to help us build. Thanks for listening. This is State of Ponder. Until next time, take care of your mind and let it wander.